Hey everyone, welcome to this week. Sorry for the delay. It's been sort of a busy week. Um, well, at least it was always busy on the days that I wanted to do a video, and I sort of got, uh, you know, overwhelmed. Anyway, I had to adjust the light there. This week's video is going to be on Aspies and sensory issues. Just want to talk about sort of the overwhelming stimulus of life. Now, as I covered in a previous video, having Asperger's, you can essentially experience sensory overload quite often. Hearing, touch, taste, scent, sight, only liking certain, I'm sure you've heard, Aspies only like certain clothes. Aspies can't be in certain environments, certain sounds, things like that. Well, I'm going to talk about that. A good example, I was at the Max Artist Show that Tony Walker held here in my hometown. And kind of a heavy cover charge, 15 bucks at the door for just art and whatnot. And I go inside and it's, dark everywhere. And then there's really bright lights. I got some notes here, so that's why I'm not looking at the camera. The smells were pretty intense. The press of people, it was just completely, felt completely packed. You could barely move. If you wanted to go like 10 feet in one direction, you might have to wait 5 minutes for the crowd to clear enough for you to make it through. All the talking, I could barely hear anyone. I had to be like right next to somebody while they talked at me, which was basically shouting, before I could actually understand them. And not only was the lights very bright, but the club was painted black. It was a place called One Up. So it had sort of a Nintendo theme. And it was very black, and then there were like bright paintings on the wall. And there were lights. It was very much bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark. It drove me nuts. And the colors were really bright. Not at all, black, really bright. And the smells were just like, that club smell, where it's just like stale beer, urine, human. It was awful. And then there were a lot of people. So you had the smells of everyone who was in there. And that, including, anyway, perfume. And it was so loud that I had to leave to get some air. And it was loud outside the club. I was 5 feet on the other side of the wall. And it was so loud, I still didn't want to be there. So I think the show went for something like 4 or 5 hours. I think I was able to handle about an hour. And then I took off. Tonight I'm going over to help my dad and his band set up. As soon as this video is done and uploaded, I'm going to go over there. And I think he's a pretty good singer. But I hate to say it, he doesn't have a rock and roll voice. He's got a theater voice. And they're very different voices, as any music fans out here. And he has one woman in his band that likes to hit high notes that she goes sharp on. And she goes sharp on them enough that it feels like, and she got painted fingernails. Okay, this is going to be a good visual. It feels like she reaches across the audience into my head and runs her fingernails down the chalkboard of my mind. And it's just like, Jesus, woman, shut up. God damn it, don't sing. And that's what it's like. And so that's just 2 experiences. And that's just 2 experiences. When I eat, like, I had to learn how to eat really spicy, heavily flavored foods because I get sort of like, couldn't taste everything. I'm not a super taster. But I could sort of, it was like an overwhelming amount of flavor. I've since had some sinus issues in the intervening years as I grew an adult. So I may have actually lost some sense of taste and smell. And maybe that's why I can handle hot foods and spicy foods now. Who knows? But yeah, as for bright lights, I got red hair and blue eyes. Going outside, hey, the bright sun. My mom was like, go outside and play. I'm like, fuck you. No, it's pain. And that was my whole childhood. It was go outside, go out and play. Go out. It was painful to be outside. I get sunburned. I was blind, basically. It's kind of funny that I tan and then the tan goes away. at the end of the season. I don't tan very well. The very mild tan I get goes away within a few months. So basically, I can go around outside without sunglasses on here in the desert Southwest. Right around September, if I've been outside consistently since about April. So otherwise, I almost am unsafe to drive without my sunglasses on. That's how bad it can be. Sensory issues. Last night I was on a date. Yay, go me! Pretty woman. Woo! Teacher. Woo! Smart girl. Woo! And I barely remember what I ate, and I barely remember the restaurant. It was a nice restaurant. It was a nice little Vietnamese pho place, and I was so focused on her because of that social blindness issue. I had to focus all of my senses onto how she was, and so you get that sensory overload going on. All the people, all the smells, all the sounds, and you're on a date, and you have to focus on your date. And adjust the camera here. And you just have to block everything else out just to read her. I couldn't read her. I'm gonna admit that I couldn't read her. And then she rides everywhere, and her bicycle got stolen. And like this 10-minute window between when we looked and when we looked again, and we were like literally sitting in a chair that we could look out and see. Well, she could. I couldn't. It was blocked. And she was looking out every few minutes, and we got into a conversation, and instead of every few minutes, it was, about 10 minutes, and she looked out, and it was there, and then we got done, and we left, and in like the 10 minutes from the last time she checked, the time we got out the door, her bike had been stolen, and she was understandably upset and really pissed off, and the rest of that night, I felt like a third wheel, and I was overloaded with just the sensory of her. What am I doing? So you have all that empathy going on that you're trying to do and failing. And I don't know how well I did. If I get a third date, we'll find out. But yeah, sensory issues. I don't go to clubs. I don't go to concerts. The only reason why I can go to a movie theater and be fine, and I love movie theaters, is because I can't really see anybody else. And they're all quiet. So I'm not overloaded by that. I personally think the best place to listen to music is in my car. As I'm all by myself, and I don't have earphones in. It's not distracting me with the earphones, and they're not other sounds. I can just listen to that. One of the reasons I love my gym is because it's kind of small, and there's not a lot of people there. And you'll find that throughout my life, and throughout the lives of a lot of other Aspies, that we tend to prefer much smaller venues, social gatherings that are smaller. We don't go to parties. We don't go out to clubs. One of my favorite places to eat, I've just recently discovered, is also one of my area's best brew pubs. And they're a really good brewery, but anything but like a Tuesday or Wednesday, Wednesday or Thursday, they're packed. And like even Tuesdays, they have a special on beer and they're packed. And so like, how do you deal with that? Well, I personally, first choice, avoid it. Don't go to clubs. Don't go to parties. Don't do this. You'll be overwhelmed. Secondly, if you go, don't be afraid to tell people, hey, I have Asperger's and I can get overwhelmed and I might have to leave. That show that I went to, Tony's a friend of mine. He knows I have Asperger's. And he says, so you left early. Is it because of the Asperger's? I was like, yeah, it is. An hour and I was done. I was done for the evening. Sensory overload comes to work. When I was a courier, I would get done with the day having dealt with all the people and all the sensations and having to drive my van and all of that sensory, and I'd have to go in my room and just not talk to anyone and not watch TV. I couldn't read a book, couldn't listen to music. I'd just be there for an hour, just decompressing. And tonight, after I get done with help my dad out, I'll probably do the same thing. There'll be a lot of people there, and I'm just going to have to decompress. I'm looking forward, my brother's getting married, and that's going to, just all these events I look forward to, and yeah, it's going to drive me nuts. SCA event weekends are a little interesting that way, because I go the whole weekend, and then, like, if I have a job, I go to work on Monday. So, yeah. just as an Aspie, be aware that you can be overloaded. As a partner or a friend, be aware that we will get overloaded. It's part of the reason why we have, for example, problems with job interviews, especially if there's more than one person. So much to pay attention to. So much distraction. So, sorry for the lateness. I'll try to make it up to you. And still looking for people, by the way. If you're Aspie and gay, if you're Aspie and you date a lot of bisexuals, bipolars, or people with borderline personality disorder, come talk to me. If you're an Aspie who does martial arts, come talk to me on Facebook, on Tumblr, through the messaging system of YouTube. Yeah, that's about it. If you've been abused, if you've suffered, if you've been a victim of a crime, if you've suffered from an abusive relationship, anything like that, give me a holler. That's about. Oh, and if you're married, if you're an Aspie and you're married or you're married to one, please give me a holler. I have questions. Have a good day. I'm sorry I'm running about a minute over what I said I'd do, but yeah. Thanks for hanging. Bye.